All right, guys, we are back. Waffles is chewing on my feet, so if I say ow every once in a while, it's probably because of that. So, okay. So, I want to get back to where we're at. So, yesterday or earlier today, we got organizations built, users built, secured assets kind of built, or at least the rough idea of it. Now we kind of need to have a key model that allows for the user to view a secured asset. So it's kind of a weird shtick here, but basically what I'm thinking is the user gets to a biometric scan, then they get to a 2FA, and then they can see the asset, right? So the question is, how do we actually enforce this a bit? Like how do we make this happen, you know? And I think the way to actually do this is there needs to be like a one-time password or one-time key. That's what I'll call it. OTK, if you will. And maybe that key is built by the organization or the user who's letting them, that's sharing this asset, whoever owns this asset, kind of defines the parameters of whoever owns this asset defines the parameters of this key, but maybe there's some minimum parameters that we have to require. So let's think about it for a sec. So this one-time key, or any key, forget even the name of one-time key. Maybe it's just a key in general, right? Just a key is ultimately going to be the result of these two things going well. But how do we effectively issue a key that is these things, right? So do we hash these two things together and that is the key? That would entail that this user who owns this asset would know this user's things. So that's where the organization structure comes in place, where the organization would have people pre-sign up, and we can collect these things, you know, their phone, if you will. And this is very likely what we could do, but the org would know their bio picture and their phone. And then when they get to these steps, like we just got to think about it, you know what I mean? Because this is where some of the complexity. I mean, this is where all the value comes in. Like it has to make sense, right? Because you know, before I even get to hardware, right? See the asset is step one, and then you know the other bit is secure the asset is step two, which means we have some enforceable security around it, right? And then if we have you know, actual hardware device, that's what we would then build out of this, right? Would be the next step, would be the hardware device, which would then trigger some action, you know, to do whatever, like turn on a car or flip a switch or open a door kind of deal, kind of situation. So I've worked for two companies about both wanting to do very similar things. One wanted like just biometric scanning for people to access software, which many companies do. And then this other one wanted cryptographic software to. So I'm not going to get in the crypto space because that would be stepping on those guys' toes, and I really like them a lot. But authorization software, you know, and some key for it is very much what we're trying to do. And I'm not trying to get in the crypto space because they got these back end keys and you know, all these. We might do a little hashing, you know, a little something, but it's going to be very simple. It's not going to be cryptographic stuff. So unless it like needs to be, but their whole thing was like Bitcoin Lightning Network, and it was cool stuff. It was really fucking cool, but a little different software. So new problem to solve. And this is going to be one of the steps to solve it. So I'm trying to think. So this key that gets distributed needs to have a few things. It needs to have maybe permissions, right? And expiration. So the key, ID, maybe who created it, maybe the key, what it's for would be good. So asset ID, like permissions, maybe. But maybe let's not go too far into permissions, because that is going to get pretty convoluted pretty quick. And we have to check first permissions and all these things. So let's keep it simple. So one-time key, it's created at, it's updated at these times. That's cool. Then I would imagine if it's a one-time key, it probably needs an expired at date time. So these are parameters that the person defending their asset should probably set. You know, whether they want 30 seconds or 30 days is probably their decision. All we're doing is building a software framework to secure some assets based on biometric signatures and then 2FA. So, but okay. So and there's companies actually have built this. I was looking on ChatGPT to make sure we were building something kind of unique. The unique bit is just making it very low barrier of entry, and then also combining these two features together, because apparently it's not really a thing, but it will be. It will be. So, okay, so secured asset, one-time key. Let's think about it. So the key is going to be some hash, some SHA-2 generic hash, you know, some algorithm hash. Maybe it should be unique. That's probably a good idea. And then it expires. We know which user gets it, and we know what asset gets it. But then to secure the asset, we would need a one-time key. And so this we kind of do need to build the relationship. I mean, we don't right now. I suppose I could leave it, but there's no enforcing it then. So the relationship has to be there to enforce it. So let's see. But let's think about it too, because when, like, who triggers the one-time key being created? You know what I mean? Like, it has to be some event. It has to be the owner saying, I'll share this document with you. That triggers the creation of the key. The key then gets distributed. Yeah. I think that's what we ought to do. Ooh, this is getting into fun territory. This is where we start using our brain a little bit. Okay, so one-time key. And guys, we're still just kind of building out the basic models. I was still having filtered stuff by, you know, organization, you know, all that stuff, because end of the day, we really need to just like figure out how does this thing work before we build a front end for it, and then have to shift everything on the front end. I hate doing that. I'd rather make it work ugly, and then let's build it to work pretty, you know. Okay, MPX Prisma. Oh, can't find Prisma. Need Prisma client. Boom. And data expires at. Okay, so create one-time key. How are we going to build a key? Const key equals crypto. That's perfect. A random byte. And let's bring that package in. Isn't there? Let's check that. There's a crypto package. Oh, there. Okay. But I think that crypto package is terrible with launching to certain servers. It breaks a lot of DevOps pipelines. So we might build our own hashing algorithm here shortly, but this will do locally. This will do for now. Okay, so we got our one-time key. I suppose we should be able to get a one-time key. We shouldn't be able to really delete or update a one-time key. Maybe the settings you could update, but the key itself, we may want to keep track of them. I'm not entirely sure on that, to be honest with y'all. Okay, so let's get out of here. Let's get over to here and let's start building secured asset, one-time key. Okay, so we can say create post key, if you will. And let's say one-time key. All right, this is where the fun stuff comes in, folks. So it needs to be associated to a user and a secured asset, right? So let's ask ChatGPT, can you make a curl request of the one-time key, please? And let me give it this as well. But I would imagine we need to have asset ID and user ID probably issued here. So let's see. Okay, and it does do a post request. That's great. And we need XAPI key. That's our security mechanism for right now. 404 not found API VO. One-time key. Waffles, you are tuckered out, buddy. Oh, and of course we need to do npx Prisma migrate. Name, add key. npx Prisma db push. If it does not work, we'll drop the db once more and we'll be on our way. But okay, so this will act as somewhat of a secure key. This is where we start getting into concept land and a little bit more like I think it's very easy to follow. Like here's my user bit, here's my what's it called? User bit, here's like my organization structure. But when you start getting to the keys and relationships, that's where personally I start getting a bit lost, to be honest with you guys at times. So I really want to just take it a bit slow, just to make sure I'm like understanding thoroughly what is going on. Okay, let's see. So the body, user ID, secured asset, and we get a key. All right, that'll do. OF, all that stuff. OF, oh, frick. Okay, there's our post request. There's a secure asset. Here's our org. Here's our user. So let's post a user. And let's get that ID. And let's get a secure asset. The user owner is going to be this. Oh, oops. Not sure why I was trying to do that there. Boom. Okay, so that's the owner of that asset, and then the one-time key. So we kind of have this two-way relationship with it because technically the user ID here I don't think should be the owner ID, right? Like this is a owner who's issuance for that asset, if you will. So I don't think that's actually going to be the user ID. This might be the user ID who's trying to view it. That to me makes more sense on that asset there. So here, let's build that out. Const one-time key, set one-time key. Dude, I love Prisma and just the ease of use and the, okay, and one-time key. Let's see, there should be some keys here. No one-time key. Interesting. Axios get. We do have a get request to get a specific key. But let's just get keys. You know what I mean? Just for now, just to kind of see our bits, right? Right. This should show us our keys. Boom. There's our keys. There they are. Or one of our keys. All we have is one key, right? No, we've got two. We've got two keys. Okay, so asset ID is your secured asset. And really what we need to do, let's see. So this asset ID, where is it? Your user ID, and then asset ID. This is the asset ID of the secured asset right here. Oh, no, it's not. It's of the owner. Oops, messed that up. Whoops-a-daisy, messed that up. Okay, so the secured asset is going to return this ID. The one-time key is for that asset. That's what needs to happen. And then getting the one-time key, really what you want to do is fetch the, let's see, so const asset equals, okay, we want to do the work here actually for filtering out the one-time key for the user, because how it should work is, now we've got a bunch of keys. the keys. But okay, so the key itself is going to be access to the asset, but the owner of this key needs to be whitelisted from the owner of the asset. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think that makes sense. So it's a bit of a bidirectional relationship for the key accessing the asset, and then so the key is effectively distributed from the asset, or it doesn't have to be distributed from the asset, but from the owner who owns the asset distributes the key, but they need to white label the person who is trying to view the asset. Otherwise, it's not a key. It's just a bit of random data. Folks, this is gonna be fun. So, yeah, I'll see you in the next bit.